Now back to Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Only on NewsTalk 1090 AM WILD Boston, where information is power.
Reverend Eugene Rivers III, Churches of God in Christ. And let me say this, at National Action Network's convention next week, in fact, a week from today, we have a forum on the Black church and its response to African American movement, and we're going to debate these very issues, moderated by Reverend Gary Simpson of Concord Baptist, the successor to Reverend Gardner Taylor, Reverend Raphael Warnock from Atlanta, and Reverend David Jefferson from Newark. Lawrence Carter from Morehouse is going to be debating these issues. But Eddie Glaude, Reverend Rivers, said that black academicians are just talking to each other, not talking to blacks to know what's going on the ground.
Right.
Your response?
Right. First of all, I would like to say that I'm pretty happy to be with my partners. I love dearly Brother Cornell and Michael Dice and Tavis Smiley, and I'm not quite sure what the Reverend means by Tavis world, but I'm going to leave that there. Part of what I want to suggest is that what I do at least in the academy, is to try to bring to bear my particular skill set by staying in my lane and bringing analysis to bear on institutions that have a central role, that have an important role, a pivotal role in the lives of so many black folk. Now, that's not to say, I want to be very clear, Brother Rivers can throw around very, very, very nice words, analytical rigor, empirical hardcore data. There's a way in which he can perform a certain kind of language that suggests that he can speak, but then he wants to yoke this to some authentic conception of what it means to be grounded in the real world conditions of black folk. I want to say very clearly that I am connected to what folk are doing in actual churches. That's why Reverend Jeremiah Wright is here. That's why we've had Bishop T.D. Jakes here. That's why I was in Mother Bethel in Philadelphia on Good Friday talking about this discussion, talking about this article. But part of this involves really just simply a person who identifies himself as a Christian, calling for other Christians who are like-minded to engage in arguments about what it means to witness the gospel in these times. And when you step on folks' tail, Reverend Al, they tend to scream. So I'm looking at all these folks thinking that they have to defend the black church when the last paragraph of the essay seemingly should echo what every black Christian who is concerned about the least of these and the most vulnerable should be saying, yes, I agree. Should be shouting amen.
Reverend Rivers?
See, my point is this. I'm concerned not with passion. I'm making an intellectual case that you make an assertion which, by your own admission, is hyperbole and exaggeration.
Well, Aristotle's rhetoric says, brother, there's a role for hyperbole. Don't you?
Let
Reverend Rivers respond. Go ahead.
Doc. Now, listen. All I'm saying is that if you're going to do the academic game, there should be adequate empirical evidence and rigor when you want to make an exaggerated hyperbolic claim. I'm simply saying that bring evidence to the game and that you did not sufficiently document the argument. You made an assertion which was not a logically constructed argument. I'm simply saying if we're going to have the conversation, if in fact the black church is dead and you want to advance the proposition, you're obligated, just in terms of intellectual morality, to make a compelling, logical argument which is supported by the evidence. And my point is, you failed to do that.
But if I'm making the argument, Reverend Rivers, that the black church is dead, and then the next sentence says that African Americans predominantly go to church, your sense of intellectual subtlety should know that somebody has their tongue in the cheek. Part of what I was trying to do, again, was to make an argument around the myth of the black church. Dr. King didn't write the letter from the Birmingham jail because black churches supported him. Because white churches supported him. There was this argument to be made about black churches, about black Christians standing on the front lines in the struggle for freedom. Now, I can marshal the evidence. I am a scholar of African American religion. Huffington Post doesn't quite give you that in 500 to 800 words, but I can provoke and prick a conversation, which we're having right now.
Absolutely.
Which we're having right now. And part of that involves, hold up, brother, part of that involves what does it mean to be a witness in these times. If you have an issue with that, let's get with it.
Okay, now listen, let me pick that up then. Mm-hmm. You see, the rhetoric of being prophetic, there is in the left wing of the religious studies
there we have right
industry, right? No, this the language of what I call high-end prophecy, which is being prophetic in contexts that carry no real cost. The biblical idea of the prophet is a person who put his life on the line and spoke truth to power. It was not a recreational or lucrative enterprise that people could undertake in the safety of universities. The prophets in the Old Testament, you've read Heschel, you've read Martin Buber, so you know what the prophetic tradition is really about, and which is not to be confused with celebrity academic discourse. I'm making a moral point and an intellectual point that using the rhetoric of prophecy, saying things in environments that don't make any significant difference because they're not connected in any organic way to struggle on the ground is academic entertainment.
So, Brother Rivers, when I write in the Huffington Post, I just want to make sure that you're not conflating these two moments, because I understand that critique and I hear it.
Right.
But when I write in the Huffington Post, prophetic energies are not an inherent part of black churches,
right,
but instances of men and women who grasp the fullness of meaning to be one with God.
Right.
This can't be passed down, but must be embraced in the moment in which one finds one's feet.
Right.
This ensures that prophetic energies can be expressed again and again.
Yes.
Now, that is not echoing prophecy for profit.
No.
That is calling for a specific kind of voice.
Listen. My response is it's poetic language. I appreciate the poetry of the language. Now, it's not clear to me what that means concretely for the black kids that are suffering about 3 or 4 miles from you in Newark, New Jersey.
Well, it means in specific sorts of ways, particularly for folks like you who can feign not understanding it, but really understanding it in its details and having the wherewithal to translate it in your own ministry as a pastor of the gospel.
Right.
So I'm not trying to pretend that I could speak to the brother in a long T-shirt with platinum grills on the corner.
Okay.
Sometimes I could do that, but that's not my lane.
Okay.
But I could speak to you.
But see, this is the concern we have as part of a larger national conversation.
Exactly, because I want to be very clear that we interrogate what I hear as a kind of underlying anti-intellectualism that has a long genealogy in the United States that does a certain kind of work.
I make a distinction between academic work, which does not generate a measurable outcome, sophistry, academic work, and intellectual engagement, which is prophetic in the sense that it speaks ethically and morally and is reflected in the lives of the people who speak. In other words, there's a celebrity academic game that markets prophecy as a lucrative enterprise and is not reflected in the lives of the people who purport to speak prophetically.
I hear you, but I want to be very clear that you're talking to Eddie Glaude. You're not talking to somebody else. So I want to make very clear that you're talking to me. Now, the last paragraph of the essay is this. The death of the black church as we've known it occasions an opportunity to breathe new life into what it means to be black and Christian. Black churches and preachers must find their prophetic voices in this momentous present, and in doing so, black churches will rise again and insist that we assert ourselves on the national stage, not as sycophants to a glorious past, but as witnesses to the ongoing revelation of God's love in the here and now, as we work on behalf of those who suffer most. Now, that's not me playing games.
Okay.
That's me standing on the principle of the cross. That's me witnessing God's grace in my life and calling for other Christians to do that.
Well, no, it's not quite the cross. That's a little exaggeration. The cross, especially during the season, the cross is about people putting their lives on the line.
The cross is also about...
Whoa. Let him talk, Eddie.
Okay, yes, sir.
No, listen. The cross, if you believe the Bible and the story, Jesus doesn't write an essay. He puts his life on the line. Then he says to his disciples, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. You'll follow me. So, no. Now I take exception. The other stuff Jesus is about putting the life on the line. If you're a black Christian, I'll tell you what it means to live prophetically. What it means is to follow Jesus, put your life on the line, put your hips with your lips, and your ink pen on the line, like Jesus did.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm going to open up the phones. Keeping it real. The black church is dead. Eddie Glaude, you're going to have to come back and deal with this. I know you have a guest Hold on a minute, Reverend Rivers. We're going to talk about it. I'm also going to open up the phones. We'll be right back. Sharpton, keeping it real. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Keeping it real.
Stay tuned for Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Call 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And stay with NewsTalk 1090 AM, WILD, Boston.
The congregation at the Pilgrim Church on Columbia Road at Upham's Corner in Dorchester invites you to lunch for free. That's right, every Saturday from 12 noon to 1:30. Enjoy delicious lunch, free of charge, and all are welcome. Each Saturday, 12 noon to 1:30 at the Pilgrim Church, 530 Columbia Road at Upham's Corner, Dorchester. Need more information? Call 617-282-0456. That's 617-282-0456.